And my first guest today is Barbara Sheridan. You know that she was on my past coffee chats, and Barbara and I have become very good friends. And we also hire each other for our skills, which is really amazing and fun. So today we're going to talk about what it is to be an introverted and extroverted empathic personality. So Barbara, will you give a little description about what each one of those are? And then we're going to dive into a conversation.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Robin, for first of all for having me. And indeed, we've become really good friends, which I really enjoy. And it's amazing to talk with you always and to do this podcast together. So you asked about the difference between an introverted and an extroverted empath or empathic person, and it basically is a little bit of the difference between a regular introvert and a regular extrovert. Introverted people, they gain their energy from being alone, from doing solo activities and working by themselves, and that gives them the energy to manage their tasks, and it gives them joy, and it makes them feel great. So what introverted people don't really like is presenting themselves on a camera or giving a big workshop or being a speaker on a seminar. Those kinds of things usually are not an introvert's dream. It's like, oh yeah, sometimes they will do it if they really feel they need to, but then with long teeth and not with much fun, and it drains them completely, and then they need a lot of alone time to recuperate, as it were, from events like that, if they even manage to go there at all, because I know lots of them who just don't go. So the extroverted person gets their energy from being in contact with other people. They love networking, they love talking with people, they love doing the sales calls or the discovery calls with new clients, they love giving a workshop, they love giving a presentation, they love being a speaker on a podium for thousands of people, and they love connecting with other people. It gives them energy, but that doesn't mean that they cannot all of a sudden also feel like it's becoming too much. And when that happens for the extroverted empathic person, then you also need to withdraw and be alone. So even though I am, for instance, an extroverted person and I love connecting with people, talking with people, giving presentations, going dancing or stuff like that, I too can have these moments where then I'm just overwhelmed and I'm exhausted and everything's just too much. And then I also need to go back to being alone. But then that serves the function of regenerating and replenishing. It's not the primary activity that gives me my energy. It's what I need to do when I gave away too much of my energy being an extrovert. So those are the biggest differences between an introverted empathic person and an extroverted empathic person.
Thank you. Now, just for the audience to know, I am an introvert. It took a lot for me to start doing Facebook Lives and to start my original podcast. Um, I am a person who needs 24 hours a day on my own. And I mean, I know that's a bit of an exaggeration, but I really am a person that I love having 2 clients a day. That really is enough for me. I need that ability to recuperate after my appointments with people. And uh, and even I'm on Clubhouse now, and I do a 1 hour Clubhouse every Saturday where I host a Clubhouse and invite. Barbara was a guest on my Clubhouse as well, where I do something very similar on Clubhouse. I invite people to come and talk about their skills and their talents and what they do. And I really noticed that that's about all I can do on Saturday, because when you get 30 or 40, even more people like that in the Clubhouse, you really do pick up everybody else's energies, and it is fun. But by the time the hour is done, I am done. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, I hired you as my coach to help me learn how to take who I am and create a business around that. And I'm taking your online course. Now, could you tell the audience what your online course is called?
Yes. My online course is called the Soulpreneur Success System, and it basically consists of two of my other online programs, which are the Authentic Superpower System and the Intuitive Business Success System. And the first 6 months, so the first system, the first program, and the Authentic Superpower System, that is all about discovering who you are, if you are introvert or extrovert, or maybe a high sensation seeker, or an intuitive person, an empath person, if you're clairvoyant, clairseen, you get to know the ins and the outs of your user manual, who you are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what you excel in, what your pitfalls are. You get to know what blocks you might have that are preventing you from stepping into the future that you would like to have. And you get the tools in overcoming them. And we work on finding the thing that you're actually passionate about, the thing that you can talk about for hours and that you love doing. And that's the basis what you need to know to be able to be happy in your life. And this can be followed by both entrepreneurs as well as non-entrepreneurs, because even if you don't want to have your business, you still need to know what you're passionate about and how you function, who you are, what your user manual is, to be able to be as successful as possible in your life, and have that life that makes your heart sing. So that's the first part. And then the second part, then you use that knowledge about yourself, who you are, what you like, what you don't like, and you use that knowledge to create that business for yourself that allows you, if you are an extreme introvert, then you will not get used to Facebook lives. You will hate it for the rest of your life. You won't want to do videos. And then, yeah, you need a different way of marketing. Videos are really in at the moment, but if it's just not your thing, and you force yourself to do that, then it will make you miserable. It will drain your energy, and you will start hating it, and then you will start procrastinating, and it only goes downhill from there. It cannot get better once you are on that train. So you want to avoid getting on that train. So you need to find out what style of marketing, for instance, is your style. If maybe you love talking, and then you can do a podcast. It's just the audio, nobody will see you, and you can talk to your heart's content. And that might be your thing. So it's good to know that that is the case. Or maybe even that is still extremely scary for you, but you're an excellent writer and you have stories to tell. You have things you want to share. And then you could start a blog, for instance, and use that blog to market your business and to create backlinks and all the other technical stuff that comes with having your business. But it's very important that you discover what works for you and how you can implement that within your business if you want to have a freedom business that not drains your energy but gives you energy, and that allows you to live your life on your terms, not dictated by clients or by marketing strategies that feel like they're strangling you, or sales tactics of following a script and then panicking when you cannot follow the script because they go off script and you don't know how to help to get them back on script again. That's not helpful. So you need to find what works for you. And that's basically what the second part is about. And I decided to split them. You are doing the Soulpreneur system, so you're doing the entire thing. But I decided to also offer them split the first 6 months and the second 6 months separately, because there are people who do not want to be an entrepreneur. It's just really not their thing. And even if you think that's really not your thing, I would still encourage you to really discover if that's true, because sometimes that can be a limiting belief. But for some people, it's not a limiting belief, it's just really not their thing. But then you need to really get to know yourself in order to have a job that makes you happy, that really uses your talents and your gifts, and that allows you to shine, and that you want to go to every morning, and that you come home from thinking, oh, yes, and now it's time to do something fun at home, instead of falling on your couch thinking, oh my lord, I survived another day. Because that's just not working for you. And so that's why I split the fruit. But there are also people who already know a lot about themselves. They already know that they are intuitive, or they already know that they're an empath. They already know how things work for them, but they're struggling with their business. They're just, yeah, they tried all the gurus and all their methods, and they did everything that everybody told them to, and it's still not working. And then usually the gurus tell you, oh, but then you're doing it wrong. But that's not true. You're doing it right. It's just not your way. And
Yeah.
yeah, if you do that enough, then you start doubting yourself. You start thinking, but it works for you, and then you try something else and it works for them, and you try maybe something else and it works for them, but none of them work for you. And then you start doubting yourself. Is there something wrong with me, and why can it not work for me? And there's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't found the you method. So you don't need Derek's method or Anna's method or Karina's method or Tony's method. You need your method, the thing that works for you. And so then you can follow just the last 6 months, because you already have that foundation and all that self-knowledge and tools to keep yourself in balance. And then you can just really dive right into using that knowledge to create a business that fits like a glove, that just really highlights your talents. And sometimes you also need to know, I'm not good with numbers. I don't really care about numbers. I don't want to care about numbers. And it's just whenever I need to do something with numbers, it drains me completely, and I cannot even work with a client anymore. If that's you, then you don't need to be doing your own bookkeeping. You need an accountant or a bookkeeper or somebody else that does your financial shit. And it's important that you know that, because then you can stop draining yourself with tasks that are not fueling your creativity, that are not bringing out the best you can be, and then just handing them over to somebody else so that you can shine.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And with me taking your online course, I am taking both, but one of the things that I really liked is that it showed me that what I thought were my negative traits or was procrastination, it wasn't that at all. It gave me permission to understand that I can only put so much energy per day into my business. And if I honor that, then I will have the energy to do other things. And it was so freeing to have permission not to have to put X amount of hours into my job. I tried other coaching formats, and I spent a lot of money on things in 2020 that just didn't pan out because they weren't honoring who I am as a healer and empathic and spiritual person and someone who does channeling. Because when I channel things, it does take a lot of energy, even though I do know how to tap into universal energy instead of depleting myself. But you're still tired afterwards. You still have to really honor the fact that you did a lot of energetic work working with that client, because you're tapping into because when I talk to a client, like when I talk to you, I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to your spirit guides, I'm talking to your soul. We have this 3, 4, 5, 6-way conversation going on between everybody that wants to come through and give you the information that maybe you hadn't been hearing or you weren't comprehending what they wanted you to do. So it's not just you and me talking. I got a whole bunch of other people back here who are giving me information to help you. And for the first time, when I took your course, and let me tell you, I tried many in 2020, and I started your course in January 2021. I was able to answer those questions that I couldn't answer before. Like, who's my client? What do I want to do? How do I want my business to be built? Every time I tried to do that before, it was just like I couldn't wrap my head around it. But after I did a few of your modules, it was just like the blinders went off. And I was like, whoa, you make it so easy. And I never feel bad about the days. I may have my day planned out, but I get up and I pretty much, I'm up for a couple of hours and I need another nap. It allows me to give me permission. Well, I'm not going to be able to do that today. So I give myself permission to do it tomorrow. It also gives me permission to say to the universe, hey, universe, I'm not in a really good state to work with this client. What would you like me to do about it? And I kid you not, within an hour, that client has rescheduled the appointment because something has come up and it's not convenient for them as well. So I absolutely love that process. And I'm so grateful for that. Now, you and I have been working. You did an Akashic Soul reading with me. And could you tell people how that helped you in your business and what you're doing?
Yes. Um, well, first of all, I wanted to say I completely get it. Yeah, I call it intuitive time management, what you were just sharing. I plan high level things for my day and based on how I'm feeling at that moment, but that's in the evening. And sometimes in the morning you wake up and you already know, okay, it's not going to be the day that that is going to succeed. And if you then can just allow that to be instead of thinking, oh, but no, because if I don't do this, then tomorrow I cannot do that, and you go in panic mode. If you can just surrender and think, okay, well, I'll give this to the universe. I'll just focus on myself for today. I will tune into my inner being and I will ask myself, what do you need? Maybe I need to go back to bed and take a nap. Then that's what I'll do. Maybe I need to go walking in the woods for 2 hours. Then that's what I'll do. And I've found, and it sounds like you have found it as well, that when you listen to that, when you do that, then you will recover much quicker. And chances are that maybe even the same day after you've taken good care of yourself, then you suddenly are able to do one or more, or maybe even all of the things that you had planned for the day. But if you ignore it, if you don't do what your body is telling you, and you force yourself to do what you had planned, then chances are very, very high that you will not succeed. That you'll either not do it, or that it will take you hours, what normally would take you 15 minutes. And then the end result is to cry about. And then you will berate yourself and be strict on yourself. And then you're pushing yourself too hard. And the end result will just not be there. So it's a process of trust, trusting in what we like to call divine timing, and that everything has a time and a place. And if you give the intention like these tasks need to be completed, then you can rest assured whatever needs to happen will happen, but those will be completed in time. And if you can trust in that, and if you can trust that it might not be today, but then it will be tomorrow or the day after, but definitely in time for the deadline,
Right.
it gives so much more inner peace, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So the Akashic Soul Record, I found it an extremely interesting process. I had heard things about it, but it's kind of vaguey, and you don't really know what you're going to get or what the results are going to be. But I thought, what they say it can do for a person sounded very much like what I needed. So I decided to ask Robynn, because we were doing Theta Healing sessions actually, and I knew she could also do the Akashic Soul readings. And I asked her, what's the difference? What will it do for me? Will it be something that is beneficial to me? Should I do something like this? Just basically help. And she was kind enough to answer all of my questions. And it sounded like it was the right next logical step in the process that I was in at the time. So I decided to do it, and I have not regretted that decision. It was an incredible, eye-opening experience. It gave me insight into things in my energy field that were preventing me from manifesting the life of my desires. That's the short answer. Everybody talks about the law of attraction and manifesting, and you need to boost your vibration, and you need to be in a high vibration, and you cannot be in a low vibration, and it's basically a boomerang. So if you want a high vibration thing to show up, you need to be in a high vibration so that it can find you back. And I was doing all of those things, and I was doing everything the marketing gurus were saying. And if you looked at it, everything looked wonderful and perfect, and like I was doing the exact right things, but I was not seeing the results that should have come with it. And that made you, in the beginning, you think, okay, well, maybe I'm just doing it wrong, or I need to tweak it a little bit more. So you start trying other stuff, you start tweaking it, and then the results still are not coming, and everybody keeps telling you, well, but you look so professional, and you have everything managed, and you have everything that you should have, and your content is great, and everything is great, but still the results are not coming. And then you start to wonder why is that happening. And the answer to that is not that you need to work harder, definitely, God, no. And it's not that you need to work smarter, what other people like to say. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. Now, well, I am incredibly smart, and that was also not the answer. So the answer for me came in the intangible part, the thing you cannot see, cannot touch, cannot smell, cannot taste. That's, it's there, but it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
It was in that part, and the Akashic Soul records tune into that, and it has to do with your current life, but also your past lives, and karma, and soul contracts, and all those things that most people are not aware of, but that have just huge influence on your life and your success and the ability to manifest your life. So if anybody is watching or listening that recognizes themselves in having tried 30 different things and none of them are working, and you're near desperate and thinking it's you, it's not. It's probably something on an energetic level or on a soul level. And then it's very important to come into contact with someone like Robynn, who can tap into that level and who can give you insight into previously incredibly mysterious realms.
You know, it sounds like it, and it really is. You think, wow, this is such huge mystery, and how do I get into the Akashic records? And I'll explain a little bit about the Akashic records. The Akashic records is a record energetically that's in your soul energy. All right. That records everything from the moment that you became a soul. And there's really no time in it. What I love, because time is a human experience. Out in the universe, there's really no time. You can experience 3 or 4 lifetimes at the same time. And sometimes when I'm doing an Akashic reading, it's like, whoa, how some of the information that comes in is not based on our kind of like our reality, where the earth is right now.
Yes.
So it may have been 50 lifetimes ago, but maybe in a future reality, but your soul experienced it 50 lifetimes ago, which can sometimes be really confusing. So yes, it is very mysterious. And what I love about it is it tells you, the person, that when your soul incarnated here on earth, it brought specific things with it to work on. So in a past lifetime, let's say something happened and somebody died and you were partially responsible, but instead of taking that responsibility, you denied responsibility. So you never learned the life lesson you were there to learn. So you have to bring that karma into the next lifetime to again try to take responsibility for what has happened in your life. And if again you don't take responsibility, you bring it into your next lifetime. And what happens is your soul continually brings you similar incidences so that you can learn to take responsibility. And depending on how many times you've ignored that, you may have a lifetime where your whole life is nothing but a train wreck, because you have not dealt with that situation for 4 or 5 or 6 lifetimes. So let me give you a personal example. In this lifetime, mine was about self-love. I was raised in a family where I wasn't told I was loved. I wasn't told I was pretty. I was never told anything positive about myself. I was only disciplined. There was no positive feedback. And if I did succeed at something, it would be taken away from me, or I was told that, it's somebody else's turn to win. So you need to fail on purpose because you've won enough. And that was just really hard to live a life where, by the time I was an adult, I never felt like I deserved anything. I never felt like anything was going to work out for me, that all I did was exist. And that was really hard to take, to just be existing in your 20s and having no dreams, not even expecting anything good to happen. And it made my life incredibly difficult around relationships. None of my relationships, it didn't matter if it was a friend, a boyfriend, a husband, a sibling, a coworker, a boss, nothing ever worked out for me. And when when I took the Akashic reading course and did my own Akashic records, those things were revealed to me. And then I was able to look at those situations, take responsibility for them on an intellectual and spiritual level without having to do a whole lot. We just did a little bit of homework. And that really released those things and allowed me, like, my whole world shifted within a year. Like within a year, my whole life did a whole 180-degree change, which I am so appreciative of. So Barbara, when you looked at the homework you did, how is that compared to what maybe other coaches have you do, or having to write out 500 affirmations? How was that for you, the little bit of homework that you were required to do in this process?
Oh, it was a very pleasant experience, actually. I had committed to doing the homework. You needed to watch a video 7 days in a row, and then you needed to read a certain text for 21 days. And if you had missed either one of them, you needed to start again. That was basically the homework. So it's not a lot of homework, and it sounds incredibly simple. But if you miss one day, you start anew. And that keeps on happening until you finish and do everything. So I thought, I've got this. I'm committed. I'm going to do this. And I planned every day around dinner time. I planned an hour to do the homework. Not that you need an hour, but I can also eat in that hour. So I committed to doing that. And the strangest thing happened. I woke up the next morning, and the first thing I did was the homework. And that kept on happening for 21 days. So I had absolutely no trouble at all doing the homework. And I even had already finished it, I think, at least 10 hours before I actually planned on doing the homework. And then, that one time, not two times, no, every time for 21 days. And that just told me how done I was with the situation I was in and how necessary it was to release it. So all other coaches, if they're good, at least they work with homework, because if you want to change something, there's just homework involved. Just get used to it. That's just what comes with it. And if you are doing things for the wrong reason, or the homework is just too daunting, then it can become an incredible burden to keep motivated and to keep actually doing it. And the moment it's bite-sized, which helps. It was not a lot. It's watching the video was 2 minutes, reading the text was maybe 3 minutes. So if you hurried up, you could definitely do the homework in 5 minutes. The 5 minutes a day should be doable for everybody. And even if you did it not quickly but slowly, then it would be 10 minutes. Definitely no more than 10 minutes a day. So even 10 minutes a day should be really doable for people if they are really sick and tired of their current reality and are ready to move on to the next. And then you will find, like me, that you're in flow, and it becomes effortless, and you don't even need to think about it, and you're definitely not forgetting it, because naturally it was just the first thing I did after waking up.
Yeah, it was such an interesting process for me too. And I would always do it at night before I went to bed. I had a little calendar, and I'd make sure I'd mark off on the calendar. And there were still a few times that I crawled into bed and then would wake up just before midnight and go, oh, I forgot to do my homework, and would quickly do my 10 minutes and mark it off. And I have had people who have missed a day and have had to start again from day one. I had one who she was at day 20, it's only 21 days, and she forgot to do day 21. And she had to start over from the beginning. But there's a reason for it. Whenever you have to redo something, it's because there's something that requires you, like there's something that's really stubborn that your physical body or your cellular memory or your soul's just not quite ready to let go of. And doing that for a longer amount of time really helps you work through that stubbornness. I'm going to call it soul stubbornness to move you through that. Now, as an extrovert, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to accomplish things. And when we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, we have these preconceived belief systems that we put upon ourselves. They can come from childhood, they can come from past lives, but especially even maybe from past coaching where somebody tells you you have to do so much every day if you want to be successful. So with the Theta Healing system, which you and I also do, we worked on those belief systems. And what we would do is we would recognize a belief system that was actually holding you back. It was putting so much pressure on you that you were actually weren't able to move forward because of these belief systems. So can you tell our audience a little bit about how working through the Theta process on these belief systems helped you enhance what you're already doing?
Yes. Well, I loved the theta sessions because they seem so incredibly simple, deceptively simple, I would say, but have this huge impact. And we are in different countries. So distance is definitely not an objection for not doing it. And it was perfectly good, actually, to do it through Zoom or any type of video conferencing thing. And I've done a lot of pre-work already, so we were able to go in deep and discover the things that were blocking me fairly quickly. I can imagine for people who have not done so much work that it might take longer to really get to the core of the things that are actually helping, of blocking and the help you need. I wanted to say, Robyn is really good at talking with you and uncovering the things and translating what you're saying or what you're thinking into the knowledge that she has over the theta system, and then either releasing stuff or reprogramming stuff and going up and changing things. And when you do that, you immediately feel a shift in your energy. You feel a shift in your feeling, basically in the shift in the way things feel, and that then also translate into your life. And I'm not saying that as soon as you finish the session life is 10 times better. That's not the way it works, but you feel the shift, and then you get asked still to release the things that have been soaked loose, so to say, in our sessions, and to process them and to let them go. And that can also take, however long it takes. It can be a day, it can be 3 weeks, and anything in between. But you get to it. It can come loose. It can be let go, and you feel that that is already that is also happening. And it's kind of like what I also like to say for my acupuncture. It's kind of like dominoes. And there are things that have fallen over, that have tipped other things, and eventually we suffer from certain things, but they might not be the root cause. But when you start working with the things that you suffer from and you clear them, then the things underneath can come up. And then you get clear on what those are, and you work on them and you release them, and you free up another layer for other stuff that's below those things to come up. And with each layer that you do, I like to compare it to an onion. You go deeper and deeper into the layers that make up you and who you are. And depending on how serious the things are that you went through as a child, and as a teen, and as an adolescent, um, it can go very deep. So when you're doing groceries and the cash lady is being mean to you or rude or something, that doesn't go so deep. But if you are very young and you need love from one of your parents and they are not there for you, and maybe even the opposite, they actively push you away, then that goes really deep. That penetrates into your core. And then as you grow older and more layers on the onion come around it, then the hurt gets capsuled into the deepest layers. So in order to get there and to release those hurts and those pains, you need to keep peeling off layers of your onion. And that's why sometimes things can come back that you think, oh, but I already dealt with that, or I already healed that, or I already solved that. And yes, you did, on that layer of the onion. But if it went deep, then you will encounter it on multiple layers. And each layer, you're being asked again to release it. And sometimes it comes in a form that you don't recognize. And that's where you are so great at. In okay, oh, you're talking about this, then is this might be is this maybe the thing that's blocking you, or I feel that it maybe could be something like this or something, and then together we find those things and we work on it, and it makes you feel lighter.
It is an amazing process. And I love what you're saying because, we all work on love is really one of the major things we work on. And that really starts in childhood where things have happened and it makes us feel unloved and unwanted. And maybe in the third or fourth session, something comes up and we think it's about love. But as we start talking, we get to the root of it, that it really wasn't the love aspect of it. It was the self-esteem aspect. This one went back to when you were completely humiliated at age 5, maybe by your kindergarten teacher. So even though it blocked you in other things in your relationship or your business, when we dive through those layers, it actually started at something that happened to humiliate you. So if you've been humiliated at a very young age and now you're a professional business person, and you get triggered by a client, but you don't understand why you're being triggered by that client, then we go back and we find out, well, hey, here you are at 5-year old, this happened to you, and that's why this trigger. But we have to go and find that to release it so that it no longer happens again, so that you're not triggered by another client or or a coach. Part of this, I can't remember what I was listening to. Oh, yes, I'm going to give you an example. I was listening on Clubhouse today and I could hear a dog barking in the background. Very big, loud, aggressive barking. And the first thing I thought of is, oh my goodness, what if there's somebody on this Clubhouse that's terrified of dogs? This would trigger them. This would traumatize them. And that is exactly what the theta process helps you figure it out why this barking dog would traumatize you. And we could go back in and find out. Now, you may never have been bitten by a dog, but you may have witnessed something of a really aggressive dog. And so this thing triggers you, but you don't ever remember having a negative, anything happen to you directly with a dog. So those are one of the things that I really love about the process. And I just wanted to touch a little bit back on the Akashic records. The Akashic records, when I do that reading for you, we find out your soul gifts. Now, mine was communication. I learned when I did mine that part of who I need to be as an entrepreneur and a professional is using my voice. That's part of my healing gifts. And you also learned what your really strong gifts were and how you could use those into your business. Did that surprise you, or did that really resonate and go, oh yeah, that just makes so much sense to me?
That is a very good question. Some things really surprised me, and some things they were immediately clear for me. Like that my primary energy sensor is, for instance, divine love. And that means that I am very an innate expert at relationship and also a natural healer. And that's something I found out when I started my business, but I didn't know before. So getting that back in the Akashic reading, that was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I recognize myself in that immediately. But there were also other things in the records that um, really did surprise me, like attached souls to me, or we talked about a coworker sending me an anger spear, which was like, really? Can those things happen as well? So it's a bit of a mix, actually.
Yeah, so just that little bit about an anger spear is when somebody is sending you really strong negative energy. It does affect us, and we don't realize it. But we feel a little edgy, and we can things don't just quite feel right, and sometimes we just keep looking behind us like somebody's following us. Sometimes we just have these emotions, and we're like, why am I feeling that way? But people really can, like our energy, if we choose to send positive energy out, we're going to attract positive energy.
Yeah.
And so when somebody deliberately chooses to send you all of this negative energy, even though you're not sending it back, you're kind of feeling that. You're kind of find yourself tense during the day and you don't really understand why. But I love that whenever that comes up, the person, it's like I say, somebody sending you an anger spirit, it just pops into your head. You know immediately who that is. It's
Yeah.
just it's just absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
All right. So this today was about how we can work together as healers, bring both of our modalities to help each other out. Barbara and I have had wonderful successes working together with our skills and promoting them. And, it's so funny because for me, I don't enjoy doing the Facebook Lives. So I quit doing them. But I love doing podcasts. I love talking on Clubhouse, which again is not, people don't see your face, they just hear your voice. So for me, again, because it's communication, my voice, really, it's just my voice that people need to hear for me to feel comfortable and feel like I'm really succeeding at what I want to do. So what is the one skill that you absolutely resonated with and love doing?
Oh, that is a very good question. Um, well, I from a very young age, I've always hated, and then hated with a capital H, having my picture taken.
Right.
It always seemed like fake, you know? You need to tilt your head a bit more to that side, and you need to smile. Oh no, no, not smile that much, because then your eyes are closed. And the whole being directed in how your face needs to look, all spontaneity gone. I hated it. I hated my picture taken. So then video became the hottest new thing, and then you start thinking about doing video, and I thought, oh my lord, I already hate having my picture taken. I thought video would be even worse. So I kept postponing it, and putting it off. And people could telling me and then say, "Oh, you're a natural explainer, and you're a natural in front of the camera, and you can explain things in a way that we really understand it, and you should do these things." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah," I really didn't want to do it because I already hated my picture taken, and then being in front of the camera, and being aware of how you're looking, and what would people think, and what would people say, and what if I lose my words, and the train of thoughts that goes through your head when you're on that path. And then there was this one day, I remember it very clearly, and I was doing self-care. Very, very important. It's not selfish, it's mandatory. I was doing self-care because I had asked a bit too much of myself, so I needed to put myself back into balance. And I had decided to go to my perfect spot along the river. Nobody comes there, and it was just me, the river, the sound of the waves, the sound of the birds, having the sun in my face with a really good book. And I brought some really delicious food and some really nice drinks. And I had that day for myself, because for me, that is one of the things I love doing, that immediately brings me back into balance on all levels, soul level, energy level, body level, health level, just magic. And as I was doing that, all of a sudden I thought, this would be a perfect video, you know? So the first video I ever recorded for my YouTube channel, it's me without any makeup in my bikini, ha, and I recorded it just on my phone, not even with a selfie stick or a tripod, just in my hand, me talking to the camera. And I was sharing how I do that, how I replenish my energy. I was showing where I was showing my perfect little spot, and explaining why I was doing that, and then asking people to share their method of replenishing or rebalancing or whatever it is that they needed to do. And I got amazing responses to that video and saying, oh, this is just, it's really you, and it was so relaxed and you were so funny and we were laughing so hard about your video, but in a good way, it was really amazing. And right then and there I discovered that I like doing video. I hate my picture taking. I still hate my picture taking. I still think I look like an idiot or all those things. But I love doing video. And that's why, or how basically my HSP TV YouTube channel was born, started. And it's still on my channel. So if you want to see me without makeup in my bikini, go to the first video on my
Oh,
channel.
that is so fun. So yes, HSP TV, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So you can find Barbara on HSP TV, and she's on Facebook under Barbara Schouten, and that's Schouten. She is an amazing coach. I highly recommend her for anybody who's tried, maybe even you want to try the first coach you should pick, Barbara's it. And then if you haven't had luck with other coaches, she is amazing, and I highly recommend her. So this is Robynn Sheridan, part of our Awaken to Your Soul Path new podcast and YouTube videos. Barbara, thank you so much for being here today. And I'm really grateful that you chose to be my first guest on this process.
Thank you so much for having me, Robyn. I feel honored that I got the really big honor of being your first guest, and we always have so much fun. So I hope that that also came through in the episode, and that people really loved what we were talking about. And if any of it resonated with anybody, then I offer everybody a free first call with me, and it's no strings attached. And you can just get to know me, have a heart to heart, and see if I can do something for you. And if not, I know so many wonderful people like Robyn that I can send you to if I'm not the one that can help you with whatever it is. So, it's basically a win-win. You cannot go wrong, and you will always walk away with a new tip or something that you've learned. And I loved talking with you. I loved everything about our session today. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much. And again, if you're interested in finding out more about the Akashic Soul reading process or the Theta process, you can just message me on Facebook or Instagram. It's all under Robynn Sheridan. And I offer a free 30-minute coffee chat. So there we go. Thank you very much. And everybody have a wonderful day.